All right, everybody, we are back again for another episode of the Coach's Compass. Now, remember, all I know is it's season 6. I don't know what episode it is. We just continue to record, continue to bring on cool guests from all across the world. Now, remember, hit that like, subscribe, comment button down below so you can continue to have this thing grow, continue to bring on cool guests. Right now, I've got another special guest with me here today. I've got Coach Deshawn. He is the owner operator of Pro Force Athletics, the science of sprinting, strength training, and plyo training, mostly focuses on sprinters, soccer athletes, and anything to do with sprinting right now. His main focus, though, is those track athletes. Coach, thank you, and welcome to the Coach's Compass.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate you having me on, and I look forward to providing value however I can.
Coach, now we look back to this great career you've had. We look back to the very beginning of it all, before the titles, before the certifications. What version of Coach Deshawn stepped onto the coaching scene, and what were you chasing back then?
Really, man, is for me, I wanted to be the coach that I didn't have, and what put fire up underneath me is my major, my degree, my undergrad is in speech communications. So I didn't have a mentor that said, look here, man, you're about to go to school and you're going to get a major in exercise science, and then later you're going to get a master's. So as I get into the realm, I start training, working at different gyms and getting this certification, that certification, and you start learning about the industry. And then there's a boys club side to it, like the guys
Huh.
and women that got undergrad degrees, got master's degrees in exercise science, got certifications that you can only get that cert if you had the degree in that. So you notice, like at different meetings, I just notice how certain people act. So, and then I noticed how they would respect you or really not respect you or disrespect you. So I said, I'm tired of school. It took me 7 years to get a 4-year degree. I'm not going back for that. I'm just going to get as good as I can and be the best that I can. And for some of them, I'm going to make sure that they can't hold a candle if they were standing next to me. So that was that. It went from, I was just telling the other hosts, it put a fire up under me that went from a negative energy to a positive energy. So now I have certain folks that, they clearly respect what it is that I do, and I can appreciate that.
I mean, you talk about like all these people having all these different certifications, right? Hiding behind these educations and everything like that, but not really getting real life experience in it all, right? So how was it to start off with like not feeling like you're welcome in the room? Because I think that's a struggle for a lot of those newer coaches that are just now coming in thinking that, hey, I need to have a certification in X, Y, and Z, do this, and that, just to be able to have a position in this industry. But at the end of the day, like if you don't if you don't have that coach's eye, you don't know what you're looking for or what to expect out of an athlete, how can you even step out on the coaching? Like a certification doesn't tell you that.
Yeah, I think like just me going in, my confidence was everything, and then it's like, knowing that I've been a failed athlete, like as far as going back to school, drinking, chasing the girls, experimenting with drugs, and then not knowing how to handle peer pressure, not knowing how to say no, not knowing how to remove myself from a group. I began to look at all of that as a positive, so I wouldn't allow the kids that's working with me make those same mistakes. So I just got to a point where I studied. My career to track and field was different than the average person. Like I played football and I played baseball in the spring. I had nobody telling me that if you want to be a good running back and go to the next level, you need to be running track. So my mentor, I run in him like in 2009 at one of our health food stores here. And I'm like, Coach, how you doing? I'm Deshawn Fontleroy. I remember you coaching when I was in high school. Hey, what are you doing? I was studying for a cert then, but I was working with football players applying track principles. And then eventually those football guys ran track, and they started to get faster. And then I started encountering athletes, track athletes began to find me. And then it kind of just blossomed from there. Then you get one guy that goes to school, another guy that goes to a Division I school and has a successful career, then it kind of opens up. So that's been part of my process where I really studied track and field for almost 10 years before I took a high school job. And
Right.
now I'm
Speed is king,
yes, that's right.
you know. But you also talk about being a failed athlete. right?
Mhm.
That's what kind of helped motivate you to kind of be an even better coach than what you ever were as an athlete. How was that transition though, right? Because I think we got a lot of us that are former athletes that are kind of going into this position of being coaches, right? They're still kind of also on the same side, chasing, still wanting to be the best athlete you can be, but also trying to help other athletes. How was that going from like, okay, now I got to let go of being an athlete myself to now trying to help the next person become a better athlete than I ever was?
I played years of semi-pro football. I played a little bit of professional indoor football, arena two, playing out in Billings, Montana, playing in Portland. And I always knew I wanted to coach when I was younger. I just didn't know how or how I was going to venture into it. So as I got into the personal training realm after years of trying to do short sales and flip properties, I walked into a gym one day.
Anything to make it work.
Yeah. So I started working in the big box gym industry, and then I started getting athletes in that environment. And then I did like a couple Nike Spark camps, Nike baseball camps, basketball camps, and like the youth energy. I just kind of fell in love about helping young people. So it's like I got to a point where I didn't want these kids to step on the landmines that I stepped on. And a large part of that is growing up, I didn't have a family member or I didn't have any uncles that had ventured to where I was trying to go. So I didn't have a map. So now that I've experienced college football, I worked out with a track team in college. I know like many track coaches from University of Oregon, Cal Berkeley, Tennessee. When you start getting kids recruited, you get those numbers that go to your Rolodex. So, with the right athlete who meets a certain standard, okay, now I can call Tennessee. I can call Texas when you know what those what the measurements are as far as what they want you to run or certain standards.
For sure. I mean, you have that Rolodex now and you're able to call these coaches, but also like you've got another piece of it that you got to get the athletes buy-in. How has it been to create buy-in for a lot of these athletes that maybe, aren't the elite level, right? That aren't there yet, right? But are trying to work towards something or have a big goal and or like just want to get a scholarship and run or play at the next level. What is it like to kind of preach to them like this is what you need to do? Because we're in a different time age, right? Like we say that kids are different than what they were back then. But who are we to like judge them because realistically it's up to us, right? To help mold them, right?
Yeah, what I'm particularly looking for, and it's not even genetics, it's always been motivation. If you have the motivation to show up 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week outside of genetics, that's the kid that I want to work with, or that's the family that I want to work with, is folks that show up. Because what I tell people, depending on when we meet, whether we have a year or two, or if I get a whole 4-year cycle, I can guarantee with consistency, good things is going to happen. I don't guarantee times. I can't tell you I'm going to help you get here, but if you stick with this, we're going to have some opportunities open up and you're going to run fast. What really helped me was encountering some fraternal twins that, when I was coaching at Lincoln is the oldest high school in the state of Oregon, and it's in downtown Portland. So that's old money. You're not getting quote unquote the fast black athlete there or the fast kid of color, but they were told by a prior coach that they would never run sub 50 and they would never run sub 11. So the mom and dad were on board. I'm like, well, we're going to see and we're going to adjust that thought process. So by the end, because I got them right after their freshman year. They stayed with me. They're still friends now. Dad's friends now. Used to get on my nerves all the time. But the one fraternal twin was 6'1", the other one was 5'11". So he was 2 and 4. The other one was 1-2. Uh, 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 Enrico, he ran sub 50, 49, 12, I believe, his senior year, and the other one ran 1089, 1091. So I did my job with what we had based on their genetics at the time. And the dad would do things that he would do little things to get on my nerves, but I consider him a friend now, and he was doing the best because he was lifting on top of what we were already doing. I think we probably could have hit 10-7, but that's beside the point now. And I,
Too
I
late now. Who knows?
listen, one is going to medical school, the other one is about to get a master's degree in exercise science. And that's what the program is about, you know.
I mean, that's a big statement right there. You know what I mean? Like, yes, we could have done everything we could have done better on the track, but at the end of the day, like these kids actually ventured out to, go ahead and get their education and better themselves later on in life. And you also talk a little bit about the parents, right? The parents were all in. How hard is that? You know, because those are those tough conversations that I don't think a lot of us coaches got. If you're in the private sector or you're doing your own thing, right? Outside of, if you're not at a high school, or you're not at a collegiate level or a professional level, these are conversations that you have to have, real conversations with these parents to get them to understand that, like, maybe your kid isn't Division 1 right now. Maybe there's things that, like, we can work on, but I can't promise that you, like, I'm going to send them to Oregon or Texas or Tennessee, right? Like, there's a process in there.
Yeah, it's the success that I typically have with athletes is typically both parents are on board, or if it's a divorce situation, at least one parent is on board, but the communication is the same for all three parties, whether it's one parent or both parents, the athlete and myself. I've never had success when the parents were not on board. I've just never have it, and it's something that I realize. Like, one parent has to be on board and speaking the language, and wants to see, if the kid is saying this is my goals, and the parent back those goals, I'm going to help you achieve that. And then we'll go as far as we can. And you've talked. I'm sure you've talked about this with other coaches. It doesn't matter if you play for the University of Texas, or you go to Cal Lutheran, or you go to some other like Rochester Division 3 school, Amherst, University of British Columbia. College sports is fun. It's way better than
Yeah.
high school. The memories are so much more, but you get kids and parents with these attitudes. What is it? Division 1 or bust. And to me, that's the insecurity. It's unrealistic. It just tells me that you wasn't really interested in school or your sport in the first place, you know.
Yeah, some people aren't built for the grind. You know what I mean? Like that college level, even if you're at Division 1, it's tough, right? The only thing that comes with all that stuff is, like, yeah, you have a lot more gear that you're getting, more facilities, all, like, you have better access to things. But at the end of the day, it's for the love of the sport, right? Like, if you're going there, right, it's for the love of the sport, and then you're trying to. So if you're in a football, if you're in a sport that goes professional, like now track has a professional league with the Diamond League and all that other stuff. But those other sports are trying to make it to professional levels. Like, college is just another stepping stone to get to where you want to get to. Now we talk about, this whole thing of, like, you doing a lot of things with a lot of the youth, working with the parents side by side. If you look at, like, a win in your career that nobody would ever see, like, that wouldn't pop up on a resume or anything like that, what would it be that you would consider a big win that nobody's ever heard of?
Man, we got this kid, Alex Rhodes, that came through our program, and I think it was like divine providence at the time. My head coach, who's a distance coach, he had been trying to get this soccer athlete out his whole career. So the guy comes out his senior year. He's a goalie. He came out under the guise of speed endurance. And what we noticed is his back was always hurting, his glutes was always hurting. It was a hamstring. And I would give him different jokes. I can't say some of the things I was saying to him on this podcast, but me and him is friends now. So we get into our first invitational. He never ran track. On the 4x4. He runs 49 on his split. In the 200, he goes like 22:30. Never run track before. This Caucasian kid. Remember, I'm still at Lincoln now. So, but during the 4x4, I mean, we set the record over there at the time for Oregon for that particular meet, but he tweaks his Achilles. He's out for a whole month. So I help him recover. He gets back, help him to recover. We had a lot of conversations, high confidence. He's the athlete that you want, that borderlines confidence, arrogance, but everybody likes him. He's a likable teammate. Well, he had to jog a 70-second 400. We wanted to be safe upon his recovery so he can get a time. At this time, you had to run at least one meet in districts to qualify to compete in districts. Well, he comes out first day on a Wednesday. He goes 48 mid. I'm like, cool, smokes everybody. And my coach is yelling and screaming, Deshawn, you got to tell him to slow down. We still have another meet. I'm like, man, you don't tell a Ferrari to slow down. I'm like, just
Right.
chill, coach. I got you. So come to the next meet, or the finals, he pushes out 47.65. Unheard of, right? Now we get to state. And then there's an Ethiopian brother at Westview, 6'1", about 160, looked the part, smashing everybody throughout the season. But my background is football. So I can see at the end of all of his races, the head is up. He's strained and he's under tension. He's under pressure, even on his best races. So I'm like, Alex, coming off of this curve, you just got to be within 5 meters. I'm like, we're going to put some pressure on him that he's never felt. And I can tell you the way he runs, you're going to walk by him the last 50, 40, 30. Everybody at Hayward Field in Oregon was coming to see this brother run. He's at Oregon now. He's doing good. Alex is in lane 5, Fuad's in lane 4. And before the race, he was like, Coach, but I'm not going to be able to see him. I'm like, you're going to see him. Trust me. You just,
Right.
hey,
You
just
gonna
stick
be
to the
there.
plan. So coming off of that curve, it was like I said, dude was like 3 or 4 meters ahead. And Alex, we worked on rhythm and timing and relaxation leading up to that. And he walked by him the last 10 meters. And basically, the brother's legs gave out. I thought he was trying to die for the finish. And we talked afterward. He's like, nah, coach, my legs just gave out. And the stadium erupted. When I say erupted at Hayward Field, it erupted. So he's already signed to go to Puget Sound Division III school in the state of Washington. I'm in Portland, Oregon, to play soccer. Now they know about him as a sprinter. He takes second in the indoor 400 his freshman year, takes second in the outdoor 400 his freshman year. Well, his time in the 400 qualified him for U20s. This is 2024 at the time. Well, he goes to U20s, finishes third. They take the top 6. So he just smashed some people from all the Division I schools that were there. Makes the U20 world team. I fly down to Lima, Peru. He gets a gold medal on the 4x4 team. So after that, I'm like, listen, man, excuse my language. I'm like, this soccer shit is done. You got to go. You got to go. So it came down to Michigan or University of Washington. He's a Husky now. He opened a few weeks ago at 46. It wasn't his best race, but he'd been nursing injuries. So, I mean, I think last year around this time in the track and field world, like he's racing the guys that were really popping during the pandemic. Like, I think he went to the USATF Indoor Nationals, and I forget what place he came in, but he finished in front of Matt Bowling, who's like a known sprinter. I think dude is a pro
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I mean, all of this is documented when you look up Alex Rhodes, sprinter from the University of Washington. So the story, it hasn't ended yet. So he's the type of dude, when you're around him, he'll tell you he can beat Quincy Wilson. That's how
Right.
this guy thinks. And he's serious about that. And he's not afraid of anybody. I think his best when he went to U20s, he ran 45.89. So he keeps progressing, and dude to tell you, hey, I think I can run 44 mid. We're gonna get there. So that's that story that we're talking about here, where it hasn't even ended yet.
Right. We're still in the mix of it. We're still trying to figure out how is this thing, if it does end, how is it gonna end? Like where is he gonna end up at? Like how's he gonna finish out his career of letting go of that soccer shit, right?
Yeah,
And going on the sprint fast, right? Because
yeah.
those are some impressive numbers, right? Like, because even I was a track guy in college and played football, right?
Okay.
Running 200, 400, right? You talk about you said 46. And maybe in the 4x4, I could touch that. But right now, like even now, I'm
Yeah,
thinking about it, running a 400. That monkey jump on your back, that last 100, coach, you
yeah,
got it. It can't happen no more. But yeah,
yeah,
that's some impressive numbers right there.
yeah, man. Thank you.
Yeah. So even now, we look at the space that you're in, right? And we fast forward 10 to 15 years from now. What do you want people to say about Coach Deshawn and how he coached? Not just about, the trophies and stuff you won, all the certifications you have, but how do you want to go out of this thing? And what do you want people to say about you?
Man, it's simple. He just cared about me as a person. That's it.
I love it. And then that's deeper than most people can think of, right? It might be a simple statement to say, right? Like he cared about me as a person, like not just showing up and like collecting a check, getting them to pay for their sessions and stuff like that, showing up to coach, blow the whistle, like teach them a technique. But hey, what do you enjoy outside of this? Like who do you want to be outside of your sport, outside of a sprinter, outside of all these things? Like as a person, what gets you going? And I think a lot of people miss that part of the coaching scene.
That's right. You know how I helped him because I know who he is and I'm not going to put his business out there. I'm like, listen, when you get up there, you have to do this, this, and this. You only have one of these and not two or three or four of these, because if you have two or three or four of these, you're going to have drama. And you don't want one of these coming up to practice causing scenes. You can see where I'm going.
I know
So
exactly what you say.
he cleaned it up. We're talking from practical experience, right? And you're trying to get somewhere, and that's him. Like he made the adjustment because I could see his antics in high school. You
Right.
know,
I love
yeah,
that. I love that, coach. Having those real conversations. Those are the type of levels that when you have that level of trust and that type of relationship with an athlete to coach, right? Those are the types of things that drive an athlete to go even further, right? Because you
that's
never
right.
know how you can use that motivation to help them get past different hurdles in life. But coach, before we get out of here, one last thing. What is one piece of advice that you wish you would have had when you first got into this coaching world that you have now?
Just to have patience, just to have patience with the people that you're working with. It's something that I learned over time. When you're training the same way I train boys or the same way I talk to boys, I have to talk to girls differently. Now, sometimes that communication is the same, but you could say something to a woman that you would say to a boy, and you could bring out an insecurity, and you could have tears all over the place. It was beautiful for me because I've had the opportunity to work with kids with autism. I've had the opportunity to work with kids on high spectrums of ADHD, and like the parents never told me until we were like 6 months, a year in. And it's like it just worked on my patience. I developed
Yeah.
patience with that, and this helped me become a better coach today. So some days I'm hot, some days I'm cold, some days I'm loud, some days I'm soft, but you got to know when to be which character, you know. So that's kind of been my advantage. You got to think I was a speech communications major. All you do is sit up and you write papers and give presentations, but then there's a whole series of nonverbal communications classes, interpersonal. So I reach back on those things and go down deep holes of like communicating with people, how to get your point across, understanding social intelligence, understanding emotional intelligence, and reading things that have absolutely nothing to do with exercise science, and connecting the dots, so to speak. And I think us in the global coaching community, we could be a little bit better with that instead of just making it all about X's and O's all the time.
Yeah. And like you said before earlier on, like, hey, I didn't study all this stuff, but what you did study in school is now coming back to help you because it's not always about what the message is, but how you deliver the message, dealing with all different athletes from all different walks of life. So, coach, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And I appreciate you coming on the podcast today. And as always, keeping it real, man. So, thank you so much. And we're out of here.
Okay, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on. Yep.